Hi, welcome to After Hours podcast, Scary Stories. Darren and I have been collecting scary stories from the guests we've had on the show. Throughout October, we will be posting 2 scary stories a week, one on Tuesday and one on Thursday. So without further ado, let's get started.
I own a company called Happy Accidents Media Production, and today is June 7th, if I'm correct.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, currently June 8th because it's 12:20 a.m.
Was June 7th?
Was June 7th. Last year in October 2019, on Halloween, we released a movie short called Envy. And this is the scary story I'm going to tell you based off of, and the scary short was based off of the story I'm going to tell you, which happened to me and my family. So, my Nully, she owned a lot of sheep, right?
To be honest, what's Nully?
Nully is my dad's mom in Navajo.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah, my Nully. She owned a lot of sheep at the time when I was really young, probably about 4 years old. And by this time, my mom and dad were separated. And every weekend, I'd go spend time with my dad. And so I was spending time with my dad, and I didn't really understand it at the time. But I remember them saying that something was killing the sheep. And from what I remember, they were saying that something was bashing their heads in and killing them, as if someone was jealous of how many sheep she had and was killing them off slowly. And so then one night, they were like, hey, let's go try and see if we can catch them in the act, because, this is the weekend, this is when they usually do the stuff. And so we went, and my Nully sheep camp is roughly 45 minutes to an hour from where my Nully lived. And so then we had to drive on a highway to get there to a dirt road to go off towards the sheep camp. And we were on the way there, we saw a goat person sitting on a stump on the side of the dirt road. And you don't see stumps on this road because...
So, I gotta ask a question at this point.
Sure.
When you say a goat person, would you say it's like bottom half goat and then top half human?
It had a goat head. It had goat legs. The torso was human.
So goat head.
Yes.
But, so I'm assuming the thing stood up, it would assume that you could assume that it would stand upright if it was upright.
It could stand, yes.
Okay.
It could stand upright on 2 legs.
Okay.
And it was playing pan flute.
Pan flute, 6 straws, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And as we pulled, it was roughly 2 or 3 feet away from the road that we were driving on. We were driving up, and then my grandma, my Nully, rolled down the window. She was the one driving, by the way. Rolled down the window and yelled at in Navajo. I have no clue what she yelled at it in Navajo. And then after she yelled at it, I remember us driving really fast to the sheep, only to find all of the sheep have died. And all their heads were bludgeoned in. And yeah, that's my story.
How many sheep was it?
She had roughly about 30 to 40 sheep.
They were all bludgeoned in.
Yeah, they were all killed.
That's wild. And that's your scary story? Is that a true story?
That's a true story.
That's amazing. That's like I've to be honest, I'm a person that has followed a lot of native stories, and I've never heard of that one. And it might be because I might have been in New York when this happened. Because I followed a lot of Native American stories, and
There's one thing.
To be honest, I'm about like a generation ahead of you.
No, I agree. And one thing I've noticed about Navajos in my area, right?
Yeah.
Or at least in my area, we don't like to talk about this type of stuff. If this stuff happens, we're not telling anybody about it. Like it happened, and we pray it away, I guess you could say.
To be honest, a lot of Native cultures are like that. We try not to like we recognize that evil spreads through
word of mouth.
Yeah, a lot, because we recognize that evil spreads through the fear of contact. If you're able to instill fear in another person, you have just succeeded in the devil's work.
Yeah.
And saying in the sense that you've definitely instilled fear into somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, that I guess that's my story. But
and we're not here to do that. We're just here to make sure that you're
and it's just a story I in my heart know to be true from what I remember. And again, I was pretty young. I was about 5 or 6 years old. But we again, I own a media production company, and from that story we created a video of said story, not as intense, or not looking as intense, but if you want to check it out, it's called Envy on YouTube under Happy Accidents Media Production. Shameless self-plug.
I've seen it. Pretty good plug. Definitely instills the ideas. I didn't know that was a story behind it, but now that I know that it's the story behind it, brings a lot more emotion to it. Like literally, it's got more weight. It's got more weight to it.
To be honest, where we recorded it is where it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was, because not many natives move their that kind of ground.
Yeah. She currently has cows there now, and they're not being bludgeoned. So we're doing okay.
No, okay. So obviously, you probably have a lot more stories than that.
Yeah.
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 Definitely. You probably do have a lot more stories than that. I know I do. I don't think I can bring you the worst of them, but I can bring you a scary one. Hopefully.
You won't.
Damn. Okay.
Just to be clear, this is going on the later on.
Yeah, I'm expecting this to be on the
Halloween version.
The Halloween one. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we could have a whole month of it. Actually, that'd be fucking dope. Starting October.
I mean, if it's like enough people that are doing a lot of different scary stories at the same time, like if we get enough, we'll be just like, hey, if you want to hear more scary stories, this is what's going on this time. It's like we're gonna
this entire month we're telling scary stories.
It's like, yeah, like
that'd be fucking dope,
dude.
Gosh.
Like if it happens, we're just gonna be like, hey, here's some more scary stories. If you want us to expand on them, we'll just keep going with it. Like,
that's gonna be fucking dope. Okay.
And like literally, like at a point, we can just literally ask people, like, hey, do you want to hear an expansion on this? Like, tell us what you want to hear an expansion on, and we'll get back to you. Or we'll expand on this idea, or we'll ask this person to expand on another idea if they're willing to.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
So, okay.
Do yours.
So, my scary story is probably one of my very first scary stories. It's a weird one because I lived. Sorry,
bless you.
I burped. I had a lot of gas in me. I had to burp it all out. But one of the first things, I grew up learning how to be an athlete. I grew up running. My dad always told me if I was going to learn how to be an athlete, the first thing I knew how to do, the first thing I should know how to do was to endure, have endurance. So I literally I joined the cross country team because what's one of the most predominant things in Hopi culture is that we were all runners. I became a runner, and about 4 years into me running, from the age of 3 years old up until I was roughly, and I'm giving a rough estimation because I'm pretty well aged, and I don't want to give away my age right now, but
I feel like you gave away your age the first episode.
Yeah, I probably did, but no, like, okay, so I'm pretty old, but when I was very young, my sister was like, my youngest sister was a year and a half younger than I was, and I was walking her from my grandmother's house to my aunt's house, which was about a quarter mile away. So in this quarter mile, the light from her porch light did not reach very far. And I told my little sister to stand in the porch light when this happened. I told her to stay in the light. So I saw my aunt's house ahead of me, and I saw a figure run from it. Literally running from their porch light into the darkness. And the moonlight in the desert, if you don't know the moonlight in the desert, it could illuminate a lot of things. So the moonlight can illuminate a lot of things. If you don't have that moonlight, it's almost pitch black. So there's times where if you're going into the darkness, you're seeing pitch black, or there are times where it's like a full moon and you can see almost everything for almost a mile. This was one of those times where I could literally see for like a while. This is one of those times where I could clearly see the hills and the hill ranges.
Yeah.
Like going up and down. So I see something leaving, not the light of my aunt's house, but like from that direction. I see something, and I think it's one of my cousins, and it just starts booking it, like running. Humanoid figure just running into the distance, and I tell my sister to wait in the light. I tell her just to wait there because I want to go ask, because I think it's my cousin at the time. I think, hey, oh shit, my cousin's going that way, and I want to ask him something. I think it's that I want to ask if my little sister can stay the night at their place, and just do girly things because there was girls over there. My oldest cousin and my oldest, mid-aged cousin was there at the time, and they were both girls, and then my grandmother was housing like a shitload of males. My sister wanted to be around other girls.
Yeah.
So I go running after this thing, this black figure, literally in the middle of the night, black figure. I can't see who it is, don't know who it is, don't know what it is. I just see black figure running into the distance over a valley, and I start booking it as fast as I can. Fast as I've ever run. And at this point, I established myself as one of the fastest runners in the Hopi culture, and I just booked it after this thing, and I just ran as fast as I could. And when I got to the top, like, I see it go over the hill, and about like 15 seconds later I make it to the top of the same hill. Don't see anything for miles. Didn't see a direction it ran, didn't see anything. Ran back to my sister as fast as I could because I was scared. And she was like, "Did you find him?" And I was like, "No." was like, you saw the same thing I did, right? She was like, yeah. She's like, you saw him run that way, right? I was like, yeah. I was like, he ran over the hill, right? She's like, yeah, I thought you caught him. And I just looked at her and I was like, I didn't. I ran into, like, I saw the dead tree over the hill. That's all I saw. And I never understood anything beyond that. Is that I chased a really, really dark... I chased a black figure into the night that was a humanoid figure that could run faster than me when I was the fastest thing in my age category in school. And it scared the hell out of me. Because I was pretty damn fast. I'm not going to lie.
No, yeah. Just jerk yourself off.
Like, no,
fine.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No. Like,
but
okay,
I get it. Yeah,
okay. So
I understand. Sorry, the story gave me shivers.
Okay, so.
Did you ever talk to your family about it?
No.
Did you ever talk to your grandma?
I did. Actually, I actually talked to all 3 of my family members that were in that area that were there at that time. And they were like, hey, I talked to my great-grandmother, who I was staying with. I was like, hey, did anybody go this way? They're like, no. I talked to my aunt. And they're like, no, nobody ever left my house. Even my cousin, who was the only male that was in that house, that was a runner, he was still there at that house.
So I want to mention...
And the other 2 cousins that I had that were 2 miles, well, not 2 miles, but like a quarter mile back, were also at their house. Nobody ever ran from that one house into the night.
That
over
makes
that
sense.
hill.
And
I was the thing. I was the one that was chasing it.
You chased it.
I was chasing it like
you chased something you didn't know what it was.
Yeah. I chased something. Yeah, I chased something into the night that I was like I was unsure of what it was.
You thought it was your cousin.
Yeah, I thought it was a cousin, and I chased it into the night, and I never caught it. But I literally got to the hill that it ran over within like 3 seconds. Even though it got there pretty quick, I was like at the top of the hill within 3 seconds after I saw it go over the hill.
Yeah.
And then I never saw it again. And it was crazy. And when my father explained it to me, he said that it was a thing that lived within the property that we were living on. And this is like a spiritual thing, but it was also like it was just it always existed there.
Yeah.
Before we ever settled the land. So it wasn't something that was like I was intruding on it. Well, no, it wasn't intruding on us. We were intruding on it, in the sense.
Okay. Yeah.
So I always took it as that, and I never I was freaked out about it. I was freaked out that I seen it, and that I experienced it. But I was also forgiving in the sense that, hey, you know what? Things have existed before I have. Yeah. I'm not going to be mad that things have existed before I have.
Sure. You want to know something crazy about my story, though?
What's that?
So, we recorded it, right? And at the beginning of the recording, you saw sheep running.
And you're talking about the video.
Yeah. Video. The video we shot called Envy. And at the beginning of the shoot, in the beginning of the video, there are sheep running around a corral. You can hear them like with their and running around like
yeah.
And the next day, dogs got into the corrals and killed them.
Like all the sheep?
All the sheep we recorded, yeah.
All the sheep you recorded?
Yeah.
Did you kill the dogs?
Okay, the sheep we recorded were my nullies that were at her homestead.
To be honest,
that were like 30 feet away from where her house is.
Yeah.
And she didn't have much.
So, but did you kill the... this might not make the podcast, but, like, did you kill the dogs? Because that's what you do.
That's what you do when you, like... They were rabid dogs.
Yeah.
They weren't around the area. They weren't from the area. And they came.
Oh,
they
so
got it.
rabid dogs came in and like started...
they got it and they left.
They left?
Yeah, they moved on.
So where the fuck were you sheepdogs?
There were no sheepdogs.
No, where were your sheepdogs?
There were no sheepdogs.
You guys don't have sheepdogs?
Well, no, at this corral there was like only like 5 or 6 sheep there.
Oh, okay. So you can like kind of kept them like unprotected a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
But
I'm not trying.
But you know, I remember us putting the fences back the way they were, to where nothing could get in.
Yeah.
But some like the dogs
obviously got in.
The dogs got in, and it was a little weird. That happened like a day later.
You know what's crazy?
And wait, I have another thing to add to this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there was a whole thing about us talking about the ending of the story, because I don't really have an ending to the story, right? Like if we were to go there, find all the sheep legend, that was the end of my story.
Yeah.
But Kelsey was like, that's not the end of the story, though. That can't be the end of the story. You just see the sheep bludgeon, like, what happens after that? And I'm like, you're right. And her and my uncle, like, talked about it. Like, what would you do if, you know, you found all these sheep dead and you couldn't do anything with those bodies? Like, you'd burn them. You'd burn
technically you don't eat the things that are, like, bludgeoned by spirits.
Yeah, so you burn them. And when I was digging a hole right next to the corral where it happened for the story, when I was digging it up, I thought I saw ash. You know, like when I was digging up this hole, like in this area,
started digging up ash.
I started digging up ash.
Yeah,
and I was like, I never told anyone this, actually.
To be honest, that's the first thing that when the only encounter I've ever had with like something that has messed with my family is that it killed about three rams that we had. Mm-hmm. And when me and my cousins, like my grandfather told us to go start, that we couldn't eat them, we couldn't cook them, we couldn't consume their flesh. Mm-hmm. So they were like, hey, you can't do anything with these. You need to burn them alive in a pit and then bury them, and their ashes need to be buried. And he was like, when you're digging their grave, you might find that you're digging up ash. Try to act like you're not surprised that you're digging up ash, because it's a way to what do you call it? Draw more attention to it, in a sense. Mm-hmm. That you're acknowledging that this spirit has control or power over your family. So you got to ignore that there's ash that you're digging up, because you don't want to give power to the thing that's the thing that's haunting you.
But the thing is, like, that's not what we were doing there, you know?
Yeah.
We were there to, like, film a shoot, and I was digging up the area where we were going to have a bonfire to, like, portray that we were throwing more burned carcasses in.
Yeah.
And I was digging up ash. And I didn't show that I was surprised. I didn't show that, you know, like, oh shit, there was ash here. Like,
yeah.
It was like, all right. And it didn't occur to me afterwards, like, hey, maybe this is actually the spot where they burned these bodies, these sheep, that were bludgeoned, and it was just like all ash now and shit. Like, it was like, it didn't occur to me afterwards, and I thought that was pretty creepy as well.
So I've this is a thing in Hopi culture that you're technically not supposed to speak about, is that there is a...
if you're not supposed to speak about it, you probably shouldn't talk about it over the podcast.
No, like it's You're right. Never mind. I won't talk about it.
And with that, that is the end of After Hours Podcast Scary Stories episode. If you have any experiences, be sure to write them down in the comments. I'd love to read them. Like and subscribe, and hope you have a good, spooky October.